All right, welcome to the next episode in the Facebook Groups course. In this episode, we're going to be talking all about promoting your group, because hopefully at this point, you've got a kind of a test group, beta group set up, you've got great culture, you've got great conversation, you're like, this thing is awesome. Now we're ready to just start onboarding people into our group, and we want to start getting more and more people in the group. Now, remember in an earlier episode, we talked about it's so important to develop out that culture, to test this thing out, to get your foundation, kind of your feet under you. And then it's always better to add people to a thriving culture, because when people walk in to any sort of community, they immediately start looking around. It's like, what is this community for? What are the unwritten rules? What's accepted? What's not accepted? So if you've done that hard work earlier on that we talked about in the course, it makes your life so much easier when you start to get more and more people on. It's not going to go wild or sideways, because they're walking into an established culture of what is accepted, what's not accepted, and they just will start going, for the most case, with the flow in the part of your culture. Now, we will talk about guidelines and onboarding strategies. We've got a lot of download examples for that, so it can help you set up to succeed to really scale this thing. You're going to want to get that in place as well. There's a lot of good little tips and strategies you can do. So as you're onboarding, whether it's like 5 new people a week or 500 new people a week, it's not going sideways for you in your church. So let's jump in. I've got 8 strategies for you on effective ways to promote your group. And right off the top, number 1 is kind of with all marketing is you got to make it great. You got to make this something that people get a lot of benefit out of. They see that it's really a great way to be an engaged part of the community. There's a lot of helpful conversations. So you got to make it really great. Again, why it's really important to develop this culture that when people walk in, like, oh, this is a happening party, right? If you walk into a party, there's music, there's food, there's conversation happening. You're like, oh, there's cool people here. Like, this is fun, as opposed to walking in, there's nothing happening. You're like, ooh, this is kind of lame. So you got to make it great. Environment, atmosphere, culture is all really important to really developing a group that people want to get in, can't wait to get in, and are inviting other people that they're connected with into the group. Number 2 is you got to make it exclusive. I know this is a little bit of weird sounding, because oftentimes we think, oh, if we have a public group, an open group, it allow more and more people to get in, which it really doesn't always work that way. With marketing, a level of exclusivity actually makes more and more people come and want to show up. So if you have a VIP party, that may be more attractive and interesting than a party anybody can come to, even though if your VIP party was still a party anybody can come to. So some level of making it a little bit harder to get in, actually you might find more and more people want in. It also helps protect the community, make the community thrive, and when you have a thriving community, it makes it more attractive to people as well, as opposed to if anybody can come and go, there's trolls, there's no accountability, there's no really thriving community, there's no real reason I don't want to go in there, it's just a bunch of spam, it's not really an effective or valuable community. Now, when you make it exclusive, there's kind of the who can get in, and there's also the content. So if you make some content exclusive, meaning that there's things that people are only going to see or be a part of if they're in the group. So therefore, you're creating this, oh, if you want to be a part of whatever that was, oh, that was going on in our Facebook group. You start doing some of that exclusive content. Again, you're going to have people seeking out to get into the group, which is really what you want. You don't want to have to be spamming people. You want people saying, hey, how do I get in the group? I hear there's a group somewhere. I hear this, this, and this. And now you're doing them a favor as opposed to them doing you a favor. Oh yeah, I'll join your group, right? That's marketing. You want to be doing people a favor as opposed to them doing you a favor. So that's number 2. Number 3 is mention it from stage. This is one of my favorite strategies. Let's say the pastor is doing exclusive content, some sort of devotional, some sort of Monday after the sermon thought, some sort of storytelling. And now during the message, he's like, and as you guys heard this week, that story I was telling you about my dentist and how you saw how incredible that was. Yeah, that was awesome, right? And then just kind of move on. Well, now you pique the curiosity. Well, what happened with the dentist? What was so awesome about the story? And where did this go down, right? So just mention it about exclusive content, something happening. Or yeah, you saw us. We did that Facebook Live with our missionary from Tanzania. Wasn't that incredible? That story about the orphanage, oh my gosh, I was crying. My wife was crying. Our kids were crying. Yeah, that was incredible. So, right, you mention it. You talk about some sort of exclusive content. Now you've got people wanting, like, how do I get in into that because that's an important part. I want to be a part of the story. I want to be a part of the updates. I want to be a part of the community here. So number 3, mention it from stage. Number 4, email about it. Text about it, use Facebook Messenger about it in a simple way. So let's say you are doing an interview, a Facebook Live with a missionary that your church supports about, right? Create a simple email, plain text, and say, hey, tonight at 9 p.m. we're going to be sharing an update inside our Facebook group with our missionary from Tanzania. Here's the link to get in. Jump in there because it's going to be an incredible update about the 3 churches that we're starting there in Tanzania, right? So now by emailing your church database about it, you're going to drive people to the group as well, which if you've listened to the episode on ownership, you're then going to get their phone number and updated email addresses in that process as well. So number 4 is email, text, and use Facebook Messenger. Number 5 is use your Facebook page. So it could be cool if, again, let's keep with the analogy of maybe the missions interview. Well, you might have a 30-second video about how your church is building an orphanage in Africa, right? And then maybe you say, hey, and we're going to have this missionary live to give us an update inside our group. So you've used your page, you've developed content that is more community-facing, more entire church, and then you've given the ability to go deeper inside your group. So use your page content to then say, hey, if you want to go deeper with this, you like this, be sure you get in our Facebook group. Not only with your content on your page, but you can do a link on your page. Facebook allows you to link groups to your page. So you can say, here's our page, and then your page can link over to the groups that you have as well. And then again, you can use Messenger on your page where you could drive comments, and then you can invite people to get into your group using Messenger as well. Lots of great ways that you can leverage your page to drive people into the group. That's number 5. Number 6 is use your website. So any pages on your website where you're trying to get people to take next steps into the community or the next step for them, if the Facebook group or groups make sense for that next step, then be sure you're linking it on those pages. So let's say you have a page about your social media profiles. It's a great place for your group. Let's say you have a page about getting connected at the church. That's a great place for your group link. If you have a page about getting into a small group, and maybe you have a small group, or a page about leadership, how do you become a leader at the church, and you have a group for your leaders at your church, right? Whatever it is, think through what do we have on our website that we could leverage to drive people over to our page. That's number 6. Number 7 is build it into a series or a season. So if you're having a series all about worship, you could say, hey, as a part of the series, we're going to be doing some things, really cool things inside our group, right? So now the part of the series that you're going to be promoting and talking about every single week, you're going to be tying in with the conversation or something cool happening inside your group. Or a season. Let's say you're during this season, you're trying to get everybody in the small groups. Well, you could say, hey, everybody get into the group. We're going to be going live every single week featuring a new small group at the church. You're going to hear from our bowling small group, our men's small group, all our young family small groups, all our retired small groups, our single small groups, right? And during this season, every single week, you're going to see a new Facebook Live featuring a new small group, and the leader's going to be telling you about that group and when they meet, and you can kind of say, hey, I'm interested in that, and then that leader's going to follow up. So you leverage a group during a season or a series. 21-day fast or prayer or devotionals series works great for this, right? Where you're doing this as a church for this season or series or both. And guess what? In our group, we're going to be doing a daily devotional. We're going to be giving you fasting tips. Whatever it is, it's a perfect way to kind of do that both and the 1-2 punch during a season or a series. That's number 7. And number 8 is empower your current existing leadership structure to really build your groups. So your ministry leaders, your small group leaders, your team leaders, your volunteers, where you're going to say, hey, if you're making it a big deal and you're like, oh, this is awesome, everybody needs to get into this group or our church group, well, then say, hey, as part of the updates, would you guys invite your people in your area of influence to jump into the group because we're going to be doing this thing or that thing? Let me just say a side note. If you're empowering these ministry leaders to be moderators in the group, to be speaking into the group, to be doing devotions and leading as a kind of a leadership pipeline, you're giving them opportunity. You're helping equip them for the work of the ministry. They're allowing them to share stories and highlight their groups and ministries. And again, the kind of the many to many, how it's different than a page and one to many marketing. If you're doing that, then naturally they're going to want to invite people to be a part of something that they have ownership in. So it's another great way if you're empowering other people that your group will be built, and you can kind of come along and add some intentionality to that. Like, hey, we're going to be giving the worship team is going to be running our Facebook group during the worship series. What part of your job, guys, is to get everybody who's in the worship team, in the choir, and whatever it is, make sure that they're in the group. All your friends, make sure that they're in the group, because you guys are running it this month during the worship series, right? So empowerment is going to lead to ownership. Ownership is going to lead to invitation. So there you go. 8 ideas. Make it great. Make it exclusive. Mention it from stage. Email, text, and message about it. Use your Facebook page. Link your page. Use your website. Build it into a series or a season, and empower your leadership structure. If you do those 8 things, you do half of those things, you're going to have a hopping group or multiple groups, whatever the situation is at your church. If you've got ideas, let us know. Put those in the comments below. This is certainly not an exhaustive list. That's just to get you started. But if you're seeing success promoting your group or groups, let us know. We'd love to share that with our community. God bless, and we'll see you in the next episode.